What's up, everybody? Kafka here, and we found it. We found a build that is absolutely amazing, and we love it, and we're having such a great time playing Path of Exile 2 with this build. We made a Chronomancer because I told you guys I would make both. It is a Chronomancer time freeze ice nova comet build. I wanted to bring back comet. I wanted to freeze. I wanted to feel like a mage. In this build, you feel like the sorceress that you should be. It is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to share everything with you guys. So basically, what your main ability is right now, this is a tier 15 map. We are mapping through, and we're using Frost Wall and we're using Ice Nova. So those two abilities make it a little bit easier to map with. And the cool thing is there's an ability that you get when you're a Chronomancer called Temporal Rift. What this does, it basically lets you reset time. So every 3 or so seconds, I have a chance to press Temporal Rift. I could get my mana back. I could get my energy shield back. And you just reset the last few seconds of what happened. And you go back, which is like a little teleport. It's really, really cool. You'll see me going back a couple times here and there in the video. But this build is good at bossing. It is good at mapping. It's good for the trials. It's actually a fantastic build, and I can't wait to share more info with you guys. One disclaimer. There is a lot of button pressing. So you're going to be pressing a lot of buttons when you're playing this build, because there is a lot of things that you could do to maximize your damage. So therefore, there is a lot of buttons, especially on bosses. So I'm pressing anywhere from 7 or 8 different buttons to like one-shot bosses. And it is really cool, and and you guys seen the boss go down at the beginning of the video. That could happen very quickly. So we're gonna continue to grow this build. I'm only like level 81 or 2 in this video or something like that. So we really want to get this build up to at least in the mid 90s if we can eventually. So beautiful build. Let's get into the skill gems. All right, a little bit of a warning. You are using weapon swap here too. So I'll talk about that when I go through the gems, which gems are on which weapon slot. So you do want a scepter, and I'll show you my items later, but a scepter that has skeletal warrior on it. This is gonna help you use a buff that I'll show you in a little bit. So Temporal Rift, this is from your Ascendancy. Ingenuity just makes the cooldown become shorter of Temporal Rift, which is fantastic. You want time freeze, and then persistence. This gives you more skill effect duration. Cast on critical, we are using Comet, Spell Echo, Considered Casting, and Inspiration, which is really important because of the mana. I don't have a 5th slot on anything, so I've never seen a perfect jewel, so I can't put 5 in there, but I would. Also, Archmage, these are the 2 that you're using for your spirit. So these are all on 1. So you would use these on weapon slot 1. And Archmage uses Lightning Mastery and Clarity for the extra mana regain. And then Blink, we're actually using on weapon slot 2. So I'm going to show you how that looks in a second too before we get into the items. So on Blink, we want second wind, so we have less cooldown. And then mobility, 30% less movement penalty while using supported skills. Frost Wall, we want to use Spell Cascade, Magnitude Effect, Icicle, and Arcade Tempo. Ice Nova, this is our main damage ability. We're basically breaking down ice walls with Ice Nova, because there's actually something called Astral Projection, and this allows you to target your AoE, so I don't actually have to just cast this around me. I'm actually casting it where the ice walls are. But we're using Elemental Focus with that, Ambush, Cold Mastery. We're using Conductivity, which is really good. So Conductivity is for Archmage because we are using lightning damage because we are Archmage. So we're doing cold and lightning damage. Soul Offering is the buff from the minions. So this is when I swap to weapon swap 2. When the minions come out, when I do that, I'll show you in a second. So the minions come out, and then I use Soul Offering on them to get buffs. So these 3, Minion Mastery, Dance, and Ablation, they all buff the Soul Offering. We want Temp Change because you noticed how much they were frozen at the beginning of the video. Temp Change actually freezes the boss even longer. I think it gives it another 4 or 5 seconds for temp changing it, which is crazy, dude. The boss is frozen forever. I wish I should have just left him frozen for you guys to see. I'll probably insert that clip somewhere in this video where they're just frozen for a long time. But temp change, you get realistic curse, heightened curse. You just want to increase the effectiveness of it. So curse ground and expanse, have more area effect. And then the last thing's Eye. So Eye of Winter does what this does for you. It's not for damage. It inflicts critical weakness and gains 50% damage. So this is very important to cast before you do your damage. So you're basically buffing your character. You're using conductivity on the ground to buff your damage, soul offerings to buff your damage. To weaken them, you use Eye of Winter, and that's when you can start doing your cast and stuff. So a lot of debuffs to make this build work. All right, so let me show you this real quick. So I'm weapon swapping. I put it on a mouse button that's really easy. Normally it's bound to, I believe, X. So I changed it so I could weapon swap just by pressing a button on my mouse, and I could blink now if I weapon swap. See, I'm blinking. And then since I have this ability right here, I have a 33% chance for the blink not to use the cooldown, which is so sweet, so sick. It's crazy. So that's the Chronomancer. That's the mage in me. So I could blink around, and then I could swap back. But I just wanted to make it easy to swap. I could bring up my souls really easy. I could spike them. That's how I'm getting this buff. You guys see the buff right here. Infusion, you deal more spell damage. Big buff for damage. Look at that. I was 11 seconds of that. And I could bring them right back up again and do it again. So that's just getting me ready. So the combo is basically when we're fighting regular mobs, it's just casting crazy amount of frost walls and then blowing them up with your Ice Nova. So boom, you don't really need more than that. If you did, you could throw in an Eye of the Winter if it's a rare, maybe, and then do it, because then their critical is lowered. But that's it. But for bossing, now we have a bit more to do. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to temp change, freeze, we're gonna have to conductivity, and then we're gonna have to kill our minions, Eye of Winter, boom, frost wall, and then to get our mana back, we temporal rift. So you see how my mana all went down? Temporal rift. Look at the mana goes mana down because critical, boom, mana back up, temporal rift. So I don't really have to use mana potions because of temporal rift, which is fantastic. Also, with the 33% chance, it could happen with time freeze. So it could happen with temporal rift. So that could be, the cooldown could actually not even happen. So because temporal or time freeze has a 52-second cooldown. So actually, no, it's way smaller. I'm sorry. It is 36-second cooldown. And when I cast it, that time it used it. So, but right there, I just used temporal rift and didn't use the cooldown because I have 33% chance. So I cast it twice in a row, just like the blink. So when I switch over and I want to blink, you know, I did 3 in a row. I've gotten 6 in a row for blink before. So crazy stuff. All right, let's go look at the gear. All right, so we're going to look at weapon swap 1 first. So actually, let's look at 2 first, because you only need 2 things. You just need a scepter that has grants skill, skeletal warrior minion, and then you need this shield. I got it for 1 exalt. This allows 49% of cooldown. That's everything that's on 2. So let's go to it again. So everything that's on 2. So we told you guys that time freeze is being cast on 2. Temporal rift's being cast on 2. Skeleton warriors being cast on 2. Blink's being cast on 2. And those are all your things with major cooldowns. So now I get a 50% basically cooldown reduction from the recovery rate, which is ridiculous. All right, so then we swap back to 1. and we need critical hit chance for spells. You could get that on your wand. You could get that on your focus, and I believe you could get it on your neck too, but I don't have it on my neck. I am looking for at least 50% critical strike. It really helps with mapping with Ice Nova. So that's what I'm looking for. But the main thing is mana. So mana. The reason why is because I'm using Archmage. And if you look at the tooltip of Archmage, basically increasing mana. Oops, what did I do that for? Increasing mana basically gives 6% extra lightning damage for each 100 mana you have. So increasing mana, getting crit, and then getting crit damage is super important. I will have a planner for this because it is kind of confusing. This build took a while to really put together. I will also link the video where I got the inspiration from. This is not the same though, because the build that I got the inspiration from, here's his YouTube channel right here, somewhere up here I'll put it, but he was only doing it for bossing, where I wanted to do this for mapping and bossing. And I feel like I'm coming to a place where, especially when I get a couple more levels, to a place where I will do anything with this build and not be as squishy. So Archmage, right? We get a lot of damage from mana. So you're going to notice when I go through my inventory, I just have a ton of mana on every item possible. And then I want critical strike chance. Extra damage is good as well. Plus the skills is great as well. And then when you can find rarity, obviously you want max resist too. So just going over it, my helm is absolutely terrible. I need a new helm. Let's go over it slow. Spirit is important on chest and neck. So you have to have spirit because you need at least 200 spirit, 190 spirit if you don't care about having clarity, but I like clarity. So I got over 200 on weapon swap 1. When I swap to weapon swap 2, I have 323 because scepters are ridiculous and they give a ton, but we don't need to worry about that. But because I'm not only using it for blink and I'm only using it for the minions, and I sacrifice them right away and keep the buff. So, all right. So you see, again, critical strike damage bonus, 1 to all spell skills. If it was 2, it'd be so much better, but I do have some rarity on it, which is good. Mana, this could have more mana on it, but I wanted the 89% crit. Most of it comes from the wand and it comes from the focus for crit chance on the items. The rings, I need breach rings to get more mana on rings. That's what you want on rings. And if you don't have the resist. So there you go there. You could get mana on gloves as well. You could get critical strike damage bonus. You could get rarity. Those are all really good things. And just like I said, max out your resist. Mana on belt would be way better. I should get more than this. I don't have a lot of mana on this belt. And then my boots do not even have mana on them. So I need mana on my boots because that would increase my damage by probably another 6%. And the helm is just really bad, but there is mana on it, but it's not a lot. So we need more mana on the helm too. So that's the gear I am using. So whenever you use CI, your life is 1. So I just learned this the other day from my boy CTL. Actually, real quick, talk about that. Grouping to level is so much more fun. So we grouped together and had a blast leveling. It was so much fun. Freaking killed it. And we got done in, I don't know, 10 hours and literally just had the best time leveling. So when your life is 1, you get stunned more and you get frozen more. So that's what I'm using there. I eventually I'll probably have to get some stun threshold so I could just put in rarity here because I like having rarity on these. It makes more sense, I feel like. But let's go to the scroll tree. This is something that you need to pay attention to too. You do use the weapon swap. So when it's red, it's using weapon swap 1. When it's green, it's using weapon swap 2. So I'll briefly go over this briefly. All right, so we are going to time freeze, and then I have not got my 4th ascendancy yet, so I'll probably try out time snap because it looks really cool. And you get more cooldown recovery rate, 6%. So energy shield off the gate. You want to get some more, any of the mana nodes. Intelligence is really good too. So I would try to start this, if you're going to build this, around 80. Really, that's where, if you want to build this, around 80 is where you could do it at. You can see I got my first weapon swap right here, and then we went or weapon set, I should say. Weapon set 1, which is really good. More spell damage. Area effect, we're increasing that as well. We like having larger area effects. Then we went down here. These are really important. So you want jewels that have critical strike damage bonus, and then effective are curses is really good too, and then spell damage. So you'll notice all of them are like that for me. Effective curses, critical damage, and then flat damage is good after that. So I want more energy shield in this build. So you could see I have some energy shield there. AoE, I want to get these nodes soon because that's 24% on my AoE. We use some more weapon set 2 here. We did go into, this is a really good node, 40% energy shield, especially if you're using CI because you have no life anyway. So you're just getting like free 40%, which is a ton. You can see I went straight up into freeze buildup, cold damage. We are using Whispers of Doom. This is really important. This allows you to have 2 curses on. So we are using conductivity and we are using temporal chains. So we need that. And then this is a ton of nodes for the weapon set 2. More energy shield, 60%. That's crazy. Energy shield, very good. More damage, just a ton of stuff that you need to make your build stronger. We're not using Eldritch Battery. This is where I was saying the guy that made the original build, he used the Eldritch Battery. You need a lot more mana and you need at least level 90, I think, to use Eldritch Battery. So you can take a look at that in the video if you'd like. More of these jewels. You need CI. This is just for chaos. Freeze buildup, important. Then all these nodes to crit. So your cast on critical happens more often as the meta skills. And that's it where we're at right now. It's a beautiful tree. I can't wait to add more points to it. All right, now we're going to show you the boss in slow motion. All right, here's a tier 15 boss. Temporal change them. Then I time freeze. You can see my minions. They're right there. So we're going to use Soul Offering. We got the buff now. I'm using Eye of Winter. Conductivity's on the ground. We did our first couple casts. Our mana is low. So we got our mana back. They're still frozen. They're going to be frozen for a really long time. This is slow motion, but they're frozen and they just go down. Tier 15 boss went instantly down. And I don't even know. Did I have conductivity on them? Yeah, I did. So you could see the debuffs on them. Look at all the debuffs that they had. So they have temp chains. They have conductivity. They have the Eye of Winter. The only thing you can add is for more exposure is you can actually add a frost bomb. But it's crazy, man. It looks so good. Look at that. Map completed. We love the build. We're having more fun on this than any other build. So it took me a while to put it together. And I'm really happy I got to share this with you guys. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will post videos of this build doing higher content like pinnacle bosses so you guys could see that. But it's definitely more than capable of doing that. So thank you. We'll see you in the next video.